There was once a woman named Eliana who smiled every day, yet every night she wept in silence. She was the kind of person everyone described as strong, but few realized that strength was forged in fire, not gifted, but earned through deep, invisible wounds. Eliana carried pain. The kind of pain that doesn't show up in scans or reports. The kind that starts as betrayal from someone she loved and trusted. Years ago, she had given her heart to someone who promised to protect it, only to have that very heart shattered into pieces without apology. And worse, life went on. The world kept spinning while she was stuck in a loop of regret, anger, and confusion. Her past became a shadow that followed her. Even in her victories, the ghost of what she had lost whispered lies in her ear. You'll never be enough. No one will love you again. You're too broken to heal. These weren't just words. They were chains. But the most painful thing wasn't what had been done to her. It was what she had started doing to herself. She blamed herself. She questioned her worth. She forgot how to dream. She began to believe that suffering was her sentence and that peace was a luxury for others, not a right for her. Everything began to change on a rainy Thursday afternoon. Eliana had just left work early, feeling overwhelmed again. The city was cold, and the sky seemed to echo her mood, gray, heavy, burdened. She ducked into a small bookstore to escape the storm. She wasn't looking for anything in particular, just somewhere to breathe. As she wandered the aisles, her fingers brushed over a book with a torn cover titled, The Art of Letting Go. Something in the title struck her like a whisper from heaven. She picked it up, flipped it open randomly, and her eyes fell on a line that would change her life. You do not have to carry what they refuse to fix. Healing is not about them. It's about choosing yourself again. Tears welled in her eyes. It was the first time she realized that her healing was not dependent on the person who hurt her. She didn't need an apology. She didn't need them to come back and explain. She needed to choose herself, to believe that she still mattered, that she still deserved peace. In that quiet bookstore, with the sound of rain drumming on the roof, Eliana sat on the floor between shelves of forgotten stories and started rewriting her own. Healing didn't come overnight. The next few weeks were hard. Eliana woke up some days filled with purpose. Other days, she felt like collapsing under the memories. Healing wasn't linear. Some days she forgave the past. Other days, she revisited every word that had broken her. But now, for the first time, she was aware of the war inside her, and she was willing to fight. She started small, waking up and saying 3 things she was grateful for, looking in the mirror and speaking kind words to herself, saying no to things that drained her, saying yes to things that scared her. She began journaling, writing letters to her younger self, the version of her that had endured the hurt, telling her, "You made it, and I'm proud of you." She began therapy. It was hard to speak the truth out loud, but it was freeing, like unlocking a prison she hadn't known she was in. She cried a lot in those sessions, not because she was weak, but because her soul was finally exhaling after years of holding its breath. Her friends noticed a change. She laughed a little more, stood taller. She no longer apologized for taking up space. She started dreaming again, of travel, of writing, of starting her own nonprofit to help young women find their voice again. One afternoon, as the sun filtered gently through her apartment window, Eliana got a message. It was from the person who had broken her years ago. The person who had disappeared without explanation, without closure. "Hey, I've been thinking about you. I know I hurt you. I'm sorry." For a moment, everything inside her froze. The old wound tried to reopen. But then, something surprising happened. She didn't feel anger. She didn't feel the need to reply right away. She simply breathed. She realized in that moment that she no longer needed their apology to move forward. She had already given herself something far more powerful, permission to heal. Eliana smiled, a deep, peaceful smile. She deleted the message, not out of spite, but out of strength. She had learned the difference between closure and healing. Closure often depends on others. Healing begins with you. Years passed. Eliana wasn't perfect. Some days she still felt the echoes of her old pain. But she was free. Free in a way that made her glow. She was now mentoring young women, speaking at events, and teaching others what she had once struggled to believe. You are not what they did to you. You are what you choose to become. Her story wasn't just about pain. It was about rising. She found love again, not just romantic love, but the kind of love that exists in quiet mornings, deep friendships, meaningful work, and self-respect. Her heart was no longer filled with bitterness. It was filled with wisdom. Every time she stood before a crowd, she reminded them, you deserve peace. Not because you're perfect. Not because the past never happened, but because you are still here. And that alone makes you worthy. Maybe today, you're like Eliana in that bookstore. Tired, wounded, wondering if peace is something that's meant for everyone but you. Let me tell you what she learned. Peace is not a prize for the perfect. It's a right for the willing. You deserve to breathe again, to dream again, to live without being haunted by memories that try to define you. You are not broken beyond repair. You are in transition. And transitions are painful because they birth transformation. Healing isn't about forgetting. It's about remembering differently, with grace, not grief, with hope, not hatred. There is peace waiting for you. Maybe not in the form you expect. Maybe it begins with you choosing to let go. Choosing to believe that your story isn't over. That the most beautiful chapters are still ahead. As Eliana now says in her talks, if no one else has told you lately, I'm proud of you. For surviving. For still waking up. For trying. That is bravery. That is strength. And to you, dear listener, this is your moment. Breathe in. Let go. Choose peace. Because you deserve it.